I'm going back to one of the old patterns again. Uh, this particular pattern was developed by a captain here in Sarasota by the name of Roy String. This is one of the better night snook flies that's ever been developed. I think probably caught more snook on this fly than any other, considering how much time I did spend fishing the docks at night. We're going to go through the classic pattern, which is in the white, but just as a little, just to show you, this is one of mine. It's the same pattern exactly. It's called the green bean instead of the string bean. It's just tied in chartreuse, that's the only difference. It's a pretty simple fly to tie, and the components are, right now I'm using Chartreuse Fly Master Plus. The hook is a number 4 Mustad 34007. The body is made out of Pearl Estes. The tail on this one, the way I tie it, I think it was originally tied with wool, but I think over the years it has regenerated into a pattern that uses Arctic fox. The tail on this is Arctic fox tail, and the wing on this is actually, most everybody else ties it out of the Arctic fox tail, but personally I tie it out of body hair. I prefer Arctic fox body hair. It's a little bit more willowy. I think it swims in the water a little better. Anyway, let's run through this real quick. This is my Arctic fox tail, or a piece of one. We've threaded down the hook, and we're going to grab a small clump of the Arctic fox tail to tail this fly. One thing that's kind of important with the tail is, again, I use my poodle brush. I try to get all the fuzz out of it, because otherwise, it tends to get real thick down here at the back. So I'm going to pull all the fluff out of it. Save it for dubbing if that's what you can do. We're going to tie this approximately one length of, or 2 hook lengths, so that's about right. I'm going to trim that off. And bring my thread forward just a little bit and capture that. Try to keep it up on top. Put some good tight thread wraps on that. You can see that there isn't a heck of a lot of material there. The flash in the tail is Opal Mirage Accent. Really love this stuff. It's very bright. It's one of my favorite types of crystal flash. We're going to take one strand and cut it twice, so we've got a total of 4 strands. I'm going to fold that across my thread. And I'm going to bring it in and capture that. Okay, got 4 strands on your side, 4 strands on my side. And put a drop of glue on it. This is Dave's Flex Cement. Okay, and then my Pearl Estes. I'm going to pluck the end out a little bit, and I'm going to capture that and tie it in the back. Move my thread forward to the hook eye, and then we're going to palmer this Estes. Takes about 6 wraps, or 5 to 6 wraps. Now the important bit is to be sure and pull, stroke the Estes back so you're not tying over the top of your previous wrap. And you don't want it super tight. You want to leave a little bit of a gap. And I'm going to capture that with my thread. And go ahead and trim that off. Pull that all back and get it all nice and tight. Okay. Now, body hair is pretty significantly different. It's much finer. It's not as it's just not as coarse as the tail hair. I want this stiffer tail so it doesn't turn around and underwrap the hook if I make a lousy cast, which I've been known to do a few now and then. But the wing, you don't have as much of the fluff in the body hair as you do in the tail, so I'm not going to be combing this one out. Do, however, want approximately the right amount. Now, I'm going to pull some of these guard hairs out. Just a few too many. I want to try to get the length a little bit more consistent. And I'm going to tie it, let's say most of the way back to the end of the tail. Maybe 2/3 of the way back for the bulk of it. Okay. Trim that off. Now, little trick. This stuff is a little difficult to work with, and since I've only got a small tie-in space, I'm going to actually put one loop over the top. I'm going to make sure that it's straight and up on top of the hook. Now I'm just going to draw that back so it's out of the hook eye. Just pull a little bit, and then I'm going to come in and tie it down. Just something that I found worked out real well. And you can see I don't really have any in my hook eye, but I still got it, pretty firmly wrapped down. Now, the very final step of this is Opal Mirage, the chartreuse version of the Flash of Mirage. I'm only going to cut this once, not twice. I'm going to fold that across my thread, and I'm going to bring it right up here on top. I want it right down the middle. And you can see it's quite a bit longer. It comes clear to here. It's longer than my wing, but that's okay. I want it to kind of flip back and forth as I strip the fly. Okay, finish my head. And I'm going to whip finish. This fly doesn't have to be fished at night. It does a really nice job on the beach too. It's a classic high tie. I mean, it's a blonde when it comes right down to it. By the way, I'm going to put one more drop of glue right up here on the head just to finish it. And that is done. You can see it didn't take very long. More time to explain how to do it than to actually tie it. I'm going to have a couple of photographs. I'll have a photograph of this one as well as the green bean version of this one, as well as a collection of the materials that are required for both at the end of the video. Thanks.